Crosslin here with Family Science Summer Safari, where the adventure starts in your own backyard. And today we're going to explore gardening. Now when you think of gardening, you may think of flowers and shrubs and herbs, or also vegetables and fruits that you might grow in your own yard. Well, people have been doing this for a long time, and before we switched from hunters and gatherers to agriculture, people used nature to find food. Now these are some artifacts, and an artifact is something that's been made by a person, and this is called a nutting stone. And when hunters and gatherers would collect seasonal nuts and berries and dry them, they would grind these and make them into flour or paste. So you probably have recognized something like this. Now, besides vegetables, people hunted, and this is a projectile point. And archaeologists find these projectile points made out of different stone materials that were used for food. But here's one you may not have seen before. This is an Indiana celt, C-E-L-T. Celt, and it was used in a piece of wood as a tool, an artifact to dig in the ground. And what did they do when they dug in the ground with this? Planted seeds. When people switched from hunters and gatherers to agriculture, they planted their gardens for food, for flowers, for medicine, and we're going to do some of that today. Okay, let's put this celt down. In your kit, you will find all the things you need for gardening. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about what you're going to be planting. You're going to have three types of seeds that I provided you. And the first part of the seeds are marigold, that's a flower. And then we also have some sweet peas that are going to be delicious later in the summer that you can eat. And I also have two types of herbs. And these herbs, like for example, this is dill, or you might have cilantro. I put different herbs for you to plant. And in your journal, you can follow some of the QR codes to find even better planting instructions. So all of these are seeds. Now, if you've been in any of my classes, you know that that plants have roots for taking up water and anchoring it. There's either fibrous or a taproot. It has stems that have two jobs. Stems transport nutrients or water, and they also provide support. And you have leaves, and leaves are the energy or the way that it does the photosynthesis and makes food for the plant. It also takes in carbon dioxide and gives off oxygen. And you know, without plants, there'd be no animals. And without animals, there'd be no plants, because of the carbon dioxide and oxygen cycle. And finally, we get to the flower, one of the most important parts of a flowering plant. And I have here my model of the flower. We've studied this before. A typical flower has petals, and it has both a male and a female part, the pistil and the stamen. And a lot of people this time of year really hate all the pollen that comes off the stamen, but it's the pollen from here, done by the wind or bats or butterflies or bees, or you can do it taking pollen from here and moving it to the pistil here. That's called pollenization, which causes fertilization, and then the seeds start to grow. And so that's the importance of flowers. So in your garden, if you want fruits or vegetables, you need to look for the flowers that come first. So let's put that flower away, because the next thing we get to is the seed itself. Now, a seed, and if you look carefully, and I provided hand lenses in the kit for you to study these seeds. A seed has a seed coat. That's a thicker layer that helps it get through the winter or keeps it nice and safe if it gets too dry. And when two things happen, when you add heat and water, a seed will germinate or crack open. And inside that seed, you'll find the start of a root. You'll see food for the plant to go, and you'll see these two specialized leaves that come up to make food. This is kind of like a Kickstarter little food factory. It comes with enough food to get started and a way to take up nutrients and water and a way to do photosynthesis. And so then the true leaves and stems appear. So don't forget the importance of the flower and the seeds. And speaking of seeds, I have some here. So here is kind of the life cycle of a bean germinating. It starts here, and you see the little root or radical come out, and it goes through different steps before this bean turns into a little bit of a plant that gets started. And so make sure you do take a look with your hand lens of the seeds I've given you. In your kit, you're going to have two containers to plant in. This one right here, and it comes with a drip tray that goes on the bottom like that. You'll also get a 2-gallon nursery pot. Now this one has holes in the bottom of it, so you're going to have to find you some rocks to put by those holes to help with drainage. I've also included a kind of a, well, this is actually a science thing for sampling, but we're going to use it as a way that the sweet peas can climb up. It's a climbing vine, and I put a ruler in that you can use too. We put different types of spoons and shovels. You might have different ones to help you with this. Some pipettes for watering, and there's even going to be some more instructions on planting, and quite a few of these little green plant identification that you can write on a magic marker and put these in your pots right here. Here's some more of my herbs, and let's see, so we have a large pot and a small pot. We've also provided everybody with a bag of potting mix. Now the potting mix, that's soil. We don't say the D word in science because it's soil, and soil is a wonderful natural resource. Let me open this up right here, and you have one bag of soil, and I've given you lots and lots of seeds. So you're probably going to have to plant some seeds in these containers and maybe in your yard. All right, so the first thing I want to do is prepare this big guy, and I'm going to put some of these rocks in here. I want to slow down the drainage just a little bit. And so you see those holes in it right here. So I'm going to put a few of these rocks on here to try to cover those up. And you don't have to do it on this one because it already has the bottom and a tray. And you have to decide what you're going to plant in which container. So I'm going to fill this about, halfway up with this really rich potting mix. Now this potting mix already has things to fertilize or feed your plant. And I'm going to make sure I save some of this over here and put in this guy right here. And I'll probably do it over that because you want to make sure you have enough soil. And if you run out, you can add some of your own garden soil or some of your soil that you might have at home. All right, so I'm going to fill up this guy. Now, one thing that's good not to do is compress the soil. If you compress the soil, that makes it difficult for the roots. So I don't want to squeeze it down. So I've left enough room right about there. I might put another handful in here like this. And you can feel this soil is nice and moist. So that guy's ready. I'm going to put the rest of this soil in here. Okay, now that makes this almost half full. You can put more soil in there if you want, but I'm going to start with this much right here because that's what I have. All right, this is going to be for the sweet peas, which you'll see have SP in there. And the directions for these, you have 5 peas to plant. There's 5 of them in there. And you could try all 5 of them here, or maybe you put 3 in and put 2 somewhere in your yard. And I'm going to put these down about 2 inches. And I'm just going to put the 3 in here. I'm going to save these other 2 to plant somewhere else. And remember, I would probably take this and I'm going to write on here sweet pea and put it on here. We'll take a look at this close up just a second. And I'll probably use this as my trellis right here in the middle. And we got an extra one right here you put on the side if you want. And my sweet pea goes in here. And let's see. Let's take a closer look at this. Okay, let's water this thoroughly. And on this first watering, I'm going to make sure I'm going to water it till, don't do it too much because you'll wash away the seeds, but I should start to see water coming out of the bottom of it. While that's there, I'm going to move this guy right over here and set that off. And you can find, as you see, we have quite a bit of dill seed and quite a bit of cilantro seeds. And both of these QR codes will give you some really good instructions on planting these. So what I want to do is I'm going to put this right here in the middle, so I know on one side I'm going to be planting my dill, and on the other side the cilantro. I'm going to go ahead and water this just a little bit. That'll water it first, get the soil nice and moist. And don't forget you have this tray. It's important to keep them watered. And let's get some of these guys right here. This is where I might use part of my shovel to make a couple of holes right here, like 3 or 4 holes to go right here, here, and here. And we're gonna have some dill, which is a pretty cool herb. And I'm gonna plant a couple of them in here. And what you can do then is something called culling, C-U-L-L. When they start to grow, the ones that grow really well keep, and the ones that don't grow so well, you might want to pull those out. So there's my dill, cover it up. And here is my cilantro, which I love. And I'll put a few of these in here and just push them down about 1 inch. Okay, and the ones that come up first and grow the biggest, I'm going to end up saving. And here's what I want you to do with these. The extras, plant or give to a friend to plant. All right, let's show you one more thing. Marigold seeds. Now make sure you take your hand lens and you take a look at these seeds, because every seed looks pretty different. Now these kind of look like burnt matches, but they will turn into a beautiful plant, marigold plant. And actually marigolds help keep mosquitoes away. So plants have all kind of uses for fiber, for food, for clothing, and even for keeping you warm. Now, so I'm going to plant these. I think I'll plant a little bit of these in this guy right here. They're about 2 inches down, and I'm going to plant a few in these here. And you'll have plenty left over. Make sure that you use your tags. Like here's my dill was over here, and my sweet peas are in this one right here, and my marigolds, I put some here, I'm gonna put some in here, and finally my cilantro are here. So that's your job to start your gardening. You'll have something you can eat. You can have something that is an herb that can actually season your foods, or you can have something that looks beautiful, the marigolds. And I hope that's a great start to your gardening. Hey, join me on the Google Meet and share your discoveries.